Yo, it's Thomas Anthony from Fancy Fox Music, and today I have something special to share with you. I'm going to be breaking down my entire project in Ableton of my latest bass house tune track that just came out on the label Suitor. Suitor is the label portion of the channel Mix Feed, which has had releases from Seven, Vintage Culture, Illusionize, ton of sweet bass house and G house artists. And right now, as of recording this video, the track has over 150,000 plays on just SoundCloud and Spotify. So it's doing really well. I'm super stoked about it. It's a really growly bass housey track, and I'm going to be showing you the behind the scenes of it right now. Let's get into it.
Shuffle when the shit go. That beat go. That beat go. That beat go. That beat go.
All right, let's get into this. So I'm going to start off with the drums here, show you what I got going on the drums, and I'll just kind of work bottom to top. So I usually put my drums up here, and then I have my bass. This is the next thing I kind of work with. And then depending on the song, I will either focus on vocals if it's like a vocally kind of track, or then more so like the lead sounds. So in this case, it went drums, bass, then I'll talk about some of like the lead sounds, then go into the breakdown, and then to finish it off, the vocals, and just kind of finally finish it off is the effects, and just kind of show you what's going on there. So starting off with the drums, this is the project. As we can see, I'll just show you this. I have tons of different versions of this song. This was the initial project, so this is the more creative phase because I wanted to show you inside some of the synths and shit like that. But when it comes to mixing down, one of the problems I had with this track was there was a little click in, as you can see, click fix. There was a little click in one of the drums in the bass section, and I had to. It was a pain in the butt to kind of figure that out. But this is going to show you the main creative phase of the track, and this is how I go about making a track from start to finish. Just showing you the inside process of it, and also just my thought process behind doing things in different places. Now, this has been a style that I've been kind of cultivating with this kind of growly bass for the last several releases, and yeah, I'm super proud of the song. It's done really well. It's so far at the moment of making this video, it's got like 50,000 plays on Spotify, and I think like 80 or something on SoundCloud, and it just got released last week. So let's get into it. First off, the drums, kicks. I love Vengeance. Yeah, I just use a Vengeance deep house kick, and I faded off the ends here because I wanted to just just make sure that it didn't overclash with everything. And if we listen to the drums, oops, I'm just going to turn on my headphones. There we go. So just a simple kicks, nothing too crazy. For claps, this was actually used in another project with CeeLo, and I like the way the claps sound. That was nice, layered with this. Just a lower one, just a wide one, so together. And then I also layered this one with 10 to the left, and this one 10 to the right. That's a hat and another clap. And then I also had just little reverses. I like to put little reverses in places just to give it a little bit of extra oomph to it, just to make it a little bit more interesting. A little bit of drum fills. I'm just going to close this down because you don't need that. A little bit of drum fills. I don't actually think that was the final one that was used, but just putting those little drum fills in different places just to kind of make the track a little more cohesive. And then going into hats, like I clearly used Noizu hats, cashmere loops. I really liked in this section that kind of like Skippy hat combined with that. And then over here I added like a shaker loop, and I always kind of sidechain my shaker loops just to kind of give it a little bit more of a vibe to it. Ooh, that's a vibe. And then another little hat down here just to give it some smooth flavor. And then over in this section, same thing, rinse and repeat. Same kind of drums. I just use the same process. And that's basically it for the drop drums. If we collapse everything, we can see it here. That I just have the same section over and over again. What's this? This is Oh, just a little bit of snare on top of this vinyl scratch. I thought sounded cool. And then if we look at the breakdown drums, so here I wanted to switch up the vibe a little bit. So I went in here and I just added like I think it was a Moombaton loop. Where is it? Oh, just up here. So when I mixed this down, I went quite deep into the EQing of it. So it's just that. And then I have it slowly fading in with this. Just adding these like top percussions, and then I kind of went back and forth with these. I thought this sound was cool, so I just kind of layered that in there. And then I just started building it up again. Going back to using just some excellent loops. These guys are awesome. They sent me actually this pack, and this is what inspired it. I found this vocal from their In Your House pack, and yeah, the song is doing really well, and it's all because of them. So go check out their packs. I'll link it in the description. And then here, as you can see, I just have 3 different build-ups. I don't think this was exactly how I had it in the final version. I think I took 1 or 2 of these out, but again, I just had like the In Your House, so that build up, something a little crazier, just a snare build, another build, and then some cashmere cinematic loops, just to make it really nice and full. And one thing that I like to just do is make my breakdowns really interesting and full. And this is something I teach in my mentoring program, is how to create a track from start to finish, going through exact process, my mindset behind things, so that you can get a good sense of like my workflow and the like I call it the correct process, but it's not correct. You can do it any way you want, but the way I like to do things, and I have a very specific process for doing things and just how I lay them out, and I go into detail in that in my mentoring program, and that's also linked down in the description. You can apply to it. There's really limited slots because I can only handle so many people, but if that's something you're interested in, definitely check it out. I have this is the sign up page. You got to apply the program. You can check out some of the student successes. They've been killing it. And yeah, set it up for a strategy session if you get accepted, and we can chat about your goals and how exactly I can help you. But yeah, that's basically it for the drums. I really like to keep them nice and full, and that's something also, as you'll see here as I move throughout the rest of the track, that I want to keep the interest from start to finish. So I think that I do that quite well, because if we look now into I'll start with the breakdown section actually first, and we'll just go linearly through the track. So those are basically the drums, and then if I start going to breakdowns, because you need to have some energy coming in. So like when DJs mix this in, they want to have some energy in the track. So I thought the first thing to start with energy is the bass. So I just made this bass pattern. It was in silent, and I have it just cut off like this, saturated a little bit. I always start with Ableton plugins when I'm doing the creative process, because it just creates really low CPU power, and it doesn't really, I can kind of add as many tracks as I want. But when I'm going to mix stuff down, I replace all of these, and like as you can see, like there's nothing. I just threw the saturator on here to make it loud while I'm making the track, but my whole mixing chain and my mixing process is something I'll do when I make everything into like the mixing mode. And one thing I like to do is I bounce everything to audio. So as you can see, all these are just little MIDI clips that I have in here that are just like sounds, and I'll bounce all those to audio just to make sure there's no clicks and pops. And that's another thing that is really, really useful with the mentoring program, is I go show you start to finish how to mix things down, all the drums, all the basses, all the vocals, my exact processing for each. And I really like to have a solid strategy that is very replicable every time. Like I do the exact same steps in the exact same order almost every time. And basically it's just starting with treating everything individually, then mixing the groups within the groups, and then mixing the groups together, then doing some final mixes overall, and then finally going to the mastering phase. So the initial kind of groove that I had here was I had this just bass going out, and it's just going back out. And as we see, if we like go over to here, I have it fully the bass in here, and then I start cutting the bass out as I go towards the drop section. So when you hear this with everything playing, so I have some of these like hi-hats and some of these loops and just keeping the momentum going. So there's nice groove there, and then also combining that with this. Now, as you can see, this is just a stupid easy bass line pattern. Like there's nothing special about this at all, and it's really easy to make. But this is just to kind of get people ready for the drop, because I'm gonna use this kind of same pattern, but then chop it up into different sounds when the drop comes. So that's all I have going on in the breakdown, and we'll go into like the other elements in a second here. But then looking at the drop, let's look at some of the bass section. So like the bass, here's what the drop sounds like when there is, I'll let you actually hear it in this section. I'll just bring it into my masters. I believe this is it. Hope this works. Oh yes, this is working. Good, Ableton, good. Ableton's been a pain in the butt, because when I drag these things in, it just doesn't work for some reason, or it'll freeze. So I'm really happy that it didn't freeze. So just listen to the full drop, and then I'll show you exactly what my process was behind this before. So like the drop sounds.
That beat go. That beat go.
So sounding super tight. So when I got into the bass section, you'll see, again, I make some changes when I'm doing the mixing, but basically it sounds like. So that was like the main kind of bass groove, and then here it comes back. And as you can see, I just expanded on this, so I still have the da 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 da, but then I just made a little motif towards the end there, and then basically I just chopped up different sounds. Like instead of having this full note, I just have a little quarter note, and then in here, instead of having that note, I have this note, and then just switching up these sounds so it gives something a little bit. And then doing little things like excellent, I just reversed the sound and it sounded cool. So that was the main kind of like bass line section. So when you combine that with the drums, you have this. And that one was kind of a little bit weak, so I did that again with I just added some more notes. And actually, if you listen to it, that one sounds solid, but this, I actually added a couple more notes, and comparing that with the first one, the first drop, it goes but this one is just, I kind of went a little bit slower, so I felt like that needed a little bit more energy in there. So that's basically the drop section, or at least like the bass section. And all of these, I just use silence, just different varying patches of silence. Some I made, some are presets. They all just kind of like, I tweak them to make them fit in the song. That's a big thing. Sound design, you don't need to make your own sounds all the time, but it is important to learn the basics of sound design so you can make sure that they fit well in the song. They have the right low end, and they have the right kind of like fit and like punch to fit your song. So, and I think I initially actually made this little motif first, and then reverse engineered this to kind of just so that when people hear this, they know to expect this kind of in the drop. And one other thing is that I got this style from Wolfgang Gartner back in the day. I remember he would always have these like super musical breakdowns, and then when a drop happened, it would basically be the same melody, but he just switch out all these crazy sounds. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. I wish I could do that. And I, like, whatever, 10 years ago or something, I never knew how to do that. And now I do, and it's awesome, and it's really paying off because I really am happy with how things are turning out. So that's basically it with the bass. And again, when I'm mixing this down, I will bounce everything to audio, and then I'll just kind of rearrange things to whatever like I feel kind of fits. So like if I just solo this again, and just adding little bits in. And sometimes I'll just move these around, and when they're in audio, they're just way more stable to use. And this is the exact process I show going through this in the mentoring program, like this, how to make just really, really interesting bass lines from start to finish. Next up, let's just look at these top basses. So these are going to sound not as crazy as they do in the final version, but basically what it is super simple notes. Then this one's, and I'm just modulating the filter cutoff, and then in the second drop I modulate the pitch bend, and that sounds super duper sick. And like to make things super interesting, so I have this basically happening in the first drop. So if we just go down to listen to the finished product, it goes, so that's, and then same thing happens here, but with some hi-hats and some shakers. And then here, I like to have these areas as kind of like a bridge area, because they're still bassy and they're still pumping, but they're not the same aggressiveness as a drop. And I feel two sections or two like phrases are fine to keep people on the dance floor, and then this kind of transitions into the breakdown, and then it goes back into the build-up. So in here, I just was lazy and I used noise use sub, and I thought that just fit the best. And it's just literally two notes going do 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 do, and then I just combined it with my drums, and then added a bunch of more musical elements over top to really give it its own kind of feel. And as you can see, I went here just trying different patterns. Oh, then this one. Just trying to get the right kind of sound for this, and I ended up with finally fiddling with doing crazy shit like that. But yeah, that's basically it. And one other thing I struggled with, or not had struggled with, but I had to figure out was, should I layer a sub under here or should I let this go? And this actually sounded good without any sub underneath it. So like I initially had like basses paired underneath, but then I just chose to actually use a sub from that sound because it was just cleaner and way easier to kind of manage. And then also to one other thing I had to I think I did here was, if we listen to the final version. Oh no, I think I actually took it out. I had some notes playing under here, and I had to like sidechain them to that bass and clear them out, but I didn't actually end up finally doing that in the final version. And then here also, I think this was I just showed you the main growl. Okay, so then other than that, I just have some brass hits, and I got these from Excellent. They have some excellent horn sounds. Some might say they make me horny, but basically it is just a super horn, and then I just picked another horn and reversed it. Just to kind of get transition in between those sections. I really liked throw in some Cashmere War horn, and then yeah, that was basically it. I put a lot of reverb on these. I definitely dialed this back in the actual mix of things, and then I have a little bit of sidechain on it. And then next up, the harmony section. So here is, what do we have in here? I have this main kind of like, let's see what these, I just put random sounds in here. That was something, I didn't actually use this. Yeah, I was just trying to generate ideas, and then I think what I decided on was just this little pattern. And I thought that sounded really cool, and then I did a whole bunch of... I just put some redux on it, like a little bit of that, or is it redux on top of the reverb over there, and some delay, and then I just have that filtering in and out. And it gives a nice little transition-y feel into that. Then this, I think this was just some plucks. This is nothing but just a little white noise kind of shimmy-doo. So that's all I had there. And yeah, that was pretty much it for the breakdown section. So like if we listen to that in the final version, like here, it sounds really nice and full. And then as it's getting into the build-up, I'm adding more redux, so it's like getting weirder. And then combining with a bunch of other shit. And then here... you can hear those plucks in the background, and then they transition. into that section. So that is basically the meat of the song. Now let's look at the vocals. So hilarious fact, I actually totally forgot about this until I opened up this project, but I actually sampled this is me and my fiance us banging and a bunch of, and then this one and I just put a bunch of effects on it and kind of messed it around. Like, as we can see, there's the whole session, which is hilarious. And I totally forgot about that. But I threw that in there, and I ended up using chopped up some of those bits just to give it some human feel, some love juices, if you might. And then, so I just had those things in there. I added some, like, a couple cashmere samples. What's this one? Oh yeah, that's something's going on there. And then, yeah, just chop those up. And then I, again, was just looking for the right vocal sample. So this, I was trying to get that going. I didn't really like it. And then I kind of combined it with this. So I found that and I was like, okay, that's really nice. And then I found like the rest of the samples and I just chopped it up. So I just, instead of having one sample in there the whole time, I just have it going every 8 bars and then followed by this.
That beat.
And I faded those off when I mixed though. But one cool thing just to note, what I did in the mixing phase was I had this, because this was like nice and deep and low. If we listen to this bit here,
Where your shit go? That beat.
it says that beat go. So I have that shit go, and I used simple delay, and I have this going like continuing on till here, going down the middle. But then I had on this one a ping pong delay, so it's a that beat go, and it was go down the middle, and then here it went that beat go, and then that kind of ping ponged on the sides just to make space for everything. And I thought that was a pretty cool technique. And then also in here, I actually just rewarped it, each of these things, so it's like
that beat go.
just to give it a little bit more rhythm in the drop section. And I didn't want to use the sample the way it was, so I wanted to make it my own. So I just kind of mixed that up. Same thing here. I think this is just...
That beat go.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know why I did that. I think I switched that up in the mixing phase. And then what else did I have? I really love these mantra vocals. There was something in here with the mantra. So I wanted to just, I love Indian vocals. I think they just sound super cool. So I obviously tried out a ton of stuff. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was.
'Cause I got the blue.
Yeah, the blue.
Hey ho, yeah.
It just, I don't know, weird samples. Oh, it was these were the ones I wanted to show. This one. Well, samples offline. They were basically just like mantra samples. And then I ended up going with this one. And then what I did was, I love this little auto pan trick, is you just put the phase to full 360. And then what it does is gives it like this really crazy like super side chaining effect. And then in the mixing phase, I panned it from left to right. So that was cool. And then these ones I didn't use. And that was basically it for the vocals. I just kind of had that bit chopped up in there, and then it's just over here. It needed some rhythm during the drop part, so again, like I said, I just chopped up that beat go and had that playing through, and then it just kind of goes back as we listen to in the final version. So like it goes. So you can hear that beat go on the sides, and when the shit go, it's down the middle, and then it drops, does the crazy thing.
That beat go. That beat go.
Kind of like a call answer kind of response thing. Then bring in the vocals fully. I just kind of repeated what was in the breakdown, and then and you can hear it going off to the sides like I told you just a second ago. And then again, it just builds up and fucking drops super hard on the second drop.
Shuffle when your shit go. That beat.
And yeah, all right. From there, just looking at the effects finally. I put a lot of time into effects. I like having a ton of effects. These ones, actually, I took them from another project that was CeeLo was working on, and I just use them. So like I use some excellent. I love this build-up effects, this tonal riser. Sounded tight. This thing. And this is just modulating in and out so I can have a constant little side chain going on everywhere. Layering it with just crash hits. Normally I'd put the crash hits in the drums, but I didn't on this track. Here, weird little things. More build-up stuff. Build-up stuff on the side. Build-up stuff on the other side so that when you combine them all together, gives a nice full sound. Boom. Sounding tight. And this. Just some other build effects. What's this one? Oh yeah, this is just a constant like ringing sound. Just gives a nice little little flavor. I have kickstart on it, so I just sidechain that too. And then finally the little upshifter thing, whatever that is. So yeah, this was my track. I hope you got something from that. Again, if you want to learn exactly how to make music and know my exact process from start to finish, and my exact process from start to finish on how to make a badass tune, like a bass house tune or like a house tune, tech house tune, those are my favorite kind of genres that I'm currently making right now. I can definitely help you out with that. Basically how it works, like again, like I said, just go over here, check out the student successes if you feel like doing that. Apply to the program. It's going to ask you a couple questions you got to fill out so it can give me more information about you. Then we will schedule a call where I'll figure out exactly a plan to where your goals are and how to get you there, and you'll leave that call just feeling like you have more direction and you'll know exactly what to do. And then from there we can choose to work together or not. And in the program we teach you exactly how to go start to finish making a song, how to the creative phase, how to always be inspired and always be motivated and to always be able to generate ideas, because that's something I've noticed over my years of producing and something I've learned and taught myself is how to not just fall out of ideas, not be like, oh, I'm stuck with this. We teach you definitely ways to cultivate that in yourselves and always have that as like a tool in your little toolbox. And then from there, teach you the whole mixing and mastering process. Again, all my mixing chains, all my mastering chains, all my exact process for mixing, which like my tunes are doing pretty good. Like I have a tune out in Confessions, have another one coming out in Confessions, have released on Dim Mac, Ministry of Sound, Punks. What else have I released on? A ton of sweet music. On Spotify, I have like over 1 million plays on my music. So I've been in this. I know what I'm doing with this stuff. And if you feel like you resonate with me and you like my style and you like my music, definitely consider this, because the biggest thing that I wish I did when I was starting out making music was I wish I got mentoring. Like when you go to learn to be in a trade, or if you learn to be a teacher or a doctor, you go to school to learn something, and you in the school, typically in university, you will get instant feedback from someone to correct your mistakes. And this is something why I've created the mentoring program and not just a course, because courses don't really get results. I know tons of friends, including myself, that I've bought courses and it hasn't got me the results that I wanted, because I would have questions within the course and then I wouldn't have anybody to answer them. So that's why we've created this mentoring program where we teach you start to finish how to do things. Every week we have feedback sessions and just question and answering sessions where we show you exactly what you need to be doing when you make mistakes, what things are good, what things are working, what things aren't working, and then answering any questions, because that's a very, very valuable component to the actual learning. And the biggest part, I know I've been going on about this, is, if you follow my post, but is accountability, because it is really, really important to have someone hold you accountable to finish music when you need to finish it. And that's why every week we meet and we figure out, have you completed the goals that you were assigned? Have you completed the homework? Because if you don't have accountability, you're not going to do anything. So that's why these 3 things: a step-by-step instruction, questions and answers, and feedback from a professional, from someone who's doing the things that you want to do. That's a big thing. Don't seek out people who aren't doing the things you want to do. Learn from people who are doing the things you want to do. And accountability. Have someone to kick you in the ass when you're feeling like a little baby and you don't want to do work. So that's my spiel. I created this mentoring program. I'm super happy with it. It's helped so many students, and it really brings another level of fulfillment to my life, because I love helping out and chatting with all the producers that are in the program right now are my homies. Like we've become good friends. I love it, and our conversations are great. It's just a great group of like-minded people, and it's been awesome because a bunch of the students who have finished the program I've ended up collabing with and have some songs coming out. One actually just got signed to Confessions, and it's been badass. So I teach you what you need to know, and then we could possibly make music together. So I hope you got something from this video, and I hope you liked the track. If you want to hit me up again, just hit me up on Instagram. There'll be a link below for the mentoring program. There'll also be some other links, so if you need some help with Spotify or getting some traction on Spotify, I have my Spotify manual down there. You can download that and check that bad boy out. Follow me on Instagram. Every day I post me. You literally see me in the studio almost every day. It's quarantine life. Even before quarantine life, I was in the studio all the time, so it doesn't even matter. This hasn't been a big change up to me. This is my full-time gig, so it doesn't really matter to me. But you just see me making tunes pretty much every day of the week. Hit me up on Instagram. I am replying to all my DMs, and I'm all constantly just showing behind the scenes of what I've been doing. So if that's something that interests you, definitely check it out. And if you want to get your music to the next level, apply to the mentoring program. You won't regret it. All right, till next time, peace.
And this was actually one of the best things that I spent my money on in my whole life. Like, seriously, like, it changed everything for me. We went through the whole process through the whole creative process, through the whole arrangement, and then through mix down and the mastering process. And I actually managed to finish a track that sounds professional. And I just can't wait to release it.
I'm going to be releasing my first song next week, and it's the song that I've been working on with Tommy, and I'm super fucking stoked. And honestly, he just killed everything. He was prepared for all the sessions. He gave me good homework assignments. I never felt like I was doing too much or too little. It was just right. And honestly, he's just super fun to work with. It was a great 8 weeks.
After this program, I've now finished 4 songs and have an EP coming up because I feel like I have the tools, resources, and most importantly, the knowledge necessary to be able to. And I've also been able to take on some freelance producing gigs for people.